And it turns out I didn't. So I came to this conclusion as I was getting ready to introduce her. If you were to assemble a dream list on how to powerfully and successfully impact worldwide Christian culture and faith, I think it would look like this. Theologically trained at both the London School of Theology and at Fuller Theological Seminary. Musically trained at the London Academy of Operatic Art. A pioneer of contemporary Christian music with over 20 albums. I actually think it's closer to 25, but I wasn't sure of my data, so I'm hedging and saying over 20 albums spanning 4 decades. Best-selling author of 17 books with sales of over 5 million copies. Author of the #1 best-selling line of Christian books for little girls. Co-host of one of today's most popular Christian television programs, Life Today, airing in the US, Europe, Australia, and Canada with over 300 million viewers, and host of her own show, Wednesdays in the Word, with over 1 million viewers. She's a creator and founder of Children of Faith and the New Zoo, a ministry to children that communicates God's love for them. Powerful Bible teacher, speaker, and activist for worldwide efforts to feed the hungry, give water to the thirsty, and provide medical help to the sick. She's going to Ethiopia. I don't know when. This woman travels everywhere all the time. And astoundingly, so I said if I were to make that list, astoundingly, that list resides in the person of Shelia Walsh. And to those accomplishments, we now get to add Baker Books author. Sheila's new book, It's Okay Not to Be Okay, releases in October, and if that wasn't enough, she's got one of the coolest accents you'll ever hear. And I almost showed this, but I chickened out and I didn't. She rocks an 80s glam rock album cover like you wouldn't believe. Just Google image Shelia Walsh and you'll see it. So anyway, friends and colleagues, please welcome Shelia Walsh.
Good morning. Thank you so much for not showing that image. It's so funny. Someone who's a professor at the university in New York actually sent my husband all of my album covers. And Barry said, and by the way, can I just say, this is my husband, Barry. He is here. We've been married for 24 years, very much a team. We do everything together, which is wonderful. But they sent Barry all these album covers, and Barry said, what do you want me to do with them? And I said, put them in a drawer somewhere. But instead of that, he had them all framed. And I said, you need to hang them somewhere where I don't see them every day. So he put them in a corridor, and our son, who at that point was probably 14 maybe, looked at them, and at the one I think Mark perhaps was referring to, he stared at it for a while, and then he asked me this question. He said, Mom, did you mean to look like that? So sorry, but yes. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here. I cannot tell you how thrilled and honored I am to be able to say now that I'm a Baker author. I'm beyond honored. And I'm so grateful to have a chance to come in and meet the team. I hope to get to know all of you over the next few years. But just to be able to be here this morning means a lot to me. I was reading some of Baker's history, and I don't know if this is the mission statement for the whole company or not, but our mission is to publish high-quality writings that represent historic Christianity and serve the diverse interests and concerns of evangelical readers. I love that. One of my dearest friends before she passed was Ruth Bell Graham. And sometimes when Dr. Graham would be away on crusades, I would go and spend some time with her at the house. I would stay with her for a few days. And she was one who said to me, Sheila, read as much as you can, but don't just read current books. Go as far back as you can. Don't read commentaries on Augustine. Read City of God for yourself. So she was the one who taught me that there's just this wealth of experience down through the ages of those who have walked with Christ for a long, long time. I have the privilege over the last 20 years of speaking to over 5 million women through something that was called Women of Faith. And I've written lots of books, but when I turned in my final one last year, I felt as if God was saying, I want us to shift direction here. Because for so many years, I wrote books trying to be very transparent and trying to say to women, look, whatever you're going through, I understand. I would share some of my own story. I would share about my father's suicide when I was 5. I would share about my own battle with clinical depression. I would share about being hospitalized. But I felt as if it was time to be almost more like a mother to some of the young women that follow and that read. And so this book, and the interesting thing is, when you're out of a contract and it's time to sign with a new company, we met with lots of different people. And I didn't even get to meet Rebecca. We just talked on the phone, but the minute I hung up from that phone call, I said to Barry, that's where I want to be. Because it was the heart of what I heard coming through that phone call, even though we never met face to face. And we're almost finished with the manuscript, and I have to say, working with this team and with Rebecca individually has been phenomenal. When you know that you're working with somebody who doesn't just edit your work, but prays over it and gives tremendous feedback, I am so grateful. So for the next 10 years of my life, what I really want to be able to do is say to women, listen, it's okay not to be okay, but we don't have to stay there. Because so many women have said to me, well, what do I do now? I love the fact that you've been through some things and you can share them, but how do we move forward? So we've made a lot of changes, so I'm sure the changes are not in your... Oh, by the way, did you tell me that there's people from the UK? Mm-hmm. Hi!
She's waving.
Oh, that's awesome! If I'd known, I would have got you to bring me some tea from Marks and Spencer, but never mind. And you just, Australia too? No? Oh well, never mind. But that is so awesome. So some of the stuff in your brochure isn't really current, because one of the great things about my husband Barry, and if you get to know him, you will love him. He loves tormenting Mark. That's like one of his main goals in life. So, but Barry and I work very much hand in hand, and he's already gone through the manuscript like 4 times. And he'll pull out things and he'll say, now exactly what do you mean by that? And so we changed, so some of the chapter titles are all going to change because I want it to be practical. So it's like, decide to start again and again. Okay doesn't live here, but Jesus does. Take the first step. Tell God the whole truth. Accept that you're stuck and struggling. Choose to walk past your past. And honestly, one of my favorite chapters now is celebrate your scars as tattoos of triumph. I feel like this tremendous privilege of walking beside women and saying to them, listen, God is raising up, I believe, an army of women around the world who want to commit to be prayer warriors. And so I have the privilege on Thursday, I'm flying into Charlotte because I've been invited to Dr. Graham's funeral. And I think that's such a huge, tremendous honor. But so many of the things that Ruth Graham told me before she passed was how to steward your gift wisely and well, how to love your family well, and then to take every single opportunity, whether you're speaking to 10 people or 10,000, as a moment that won't come again. So I want to say to you that I'm not just here with a book. I want to be here as all of me, my calling. I want to partner with you. And we're very reachable. We're on so much social media, it's annoying. So please feel free to give me feedback at any point. If you think this would be helpful, if you could do that, or could you help us this way? I really want to be part of your team. And I'm very, very grateful for every one of you. And I didn't get much sleep for the last 3 nights, so I'm rambling now. But just know that I'm so happy to be here, and I cannot wait for this book to come out. And the great thing too is, now that I'm on television, I'll be able to we're going to devote 8 weeks, 8 separate, to this book, because it's going to be 8 simple steps for women. So to be able to also communicate that on television, to devote 1 episode to each one of those steps and really make a difference in the lives of women. I don't want just to write a good book. I want this to be part of their spiritual journey. So thank you for having me. Just know that when I'm out there that I will be praying for you too. Anytime I'm with a new company, you go onto Barry and I onto our prayer list, so we'll be praying for you and all that you do. And I'm hugely honored to be part of your team. So thank you.